I've done a lot of business, done a lot of deals, and I want to look at things from the perspective of the incentives at play. The main issue here is that Kawhi Leonard was paid $7 million dollars a year and contractually was obligated to do nothing so long as that he was still a Clipper. That is the issue. How did Kawhi Leonard garner such a deal? Now, people will say, oh, well, maybe it's incompetency. However, in this case, if we look at this company, they paid other celebrities endorsement deals, very notable celebrities. I think Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake. And according to employees who were interviewed on Pablo Torre's Finds Out, which I will link to, he's the one who broke the story. Kawhi Leonard's deal was 4 times or more than 4 times what the total sum of all those other endorsements were. And those people, those other celebrities had to do work. So they were able to get value for less from other A-list celebrities. Yet from Kawhi Leonard, they paid an extreme amount, or a premium, I should say, for his services that he did not provide because he was not contractually obligated to provide. That makes 0 sense. And that is the issue. That makes 0 sense. There is not anyone that can argue that, oh, maybe they just didn't, they didn't think about it. No, they were paying him. So they were definitely thinking about it. And I've seen deals with athletes done before. Give you an example. I was privy to what was going on during the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight with, patches for sponsors or patches for brands on the boxer's shorts. That in itself, I think, I don't want to reveal too many details, although it's probably way past the point of the NDAs are all expired. But there was something with one of the fighters who they were supposed to say something more about the certain patch they were wearing, which they were paid a very handsome amount of money for. They failed to do so. And the person that was involved in helping facilitate that transaction, I should say, got in a lot of heat for it unfairly. It wasn't that person's issue. The athlete did not come through. But imagine if the athlete didn't come through, not just didn't come through, didn't even wear the patch. And then this company continued to pay him for wearing the patch for his next, 4 or 5 fights. There's no business in the world that runs like that. It just doesn't happen. So there has to be an incentive behind doing this. And the only thing that makes, I think with the information we all have now, the only thing that makes any sense is it's somehow tied to the Clippers. And I was thinking this through because I personally, as a fan of the NBA, I like Steve Ballmer. I think Steve Ballmer is one of the most, I watched him on Paul George's podcast. This is maybe from a year or 2 ago. I was just like, this guy's awesome. Into a dome. He's so excited about it. Like, I hope none of this is actually, I hope he's not at fault at all. I really do. But from just looking at it, I try to be as objective as I can. Again, looking at it through the lens of incentives. What incentives would Steve Ballmer or someone in his position have to do a little deal like this? A little behind the scenes action to sweeten a deal for a star player to come play for the Clippers. Because if you remember, Kawhi coming to the Clippers was a huge deal. It was huge. You remember they had footage of his private plane landing at one of the airports, like, where's Kawhi going to go to next? It literally was as close to, as I remember growing up, like when LeBron was deciding what team to go to, when he decided to go to Miami. It was on that level. Kawhi had just gone to Toronto for this one-off season, won a championship in Canada, was like the king of Canada. And basically, teams felt like whoever got Kawhi, like, you're immediately a championship contender. And the Clippers got him. And I remember at the time, it was like, Kawhi's from LA. He didn't want to go to the Lakers with LeBron because he wants to be his own guy. All this narrative that made total sense. If Steve Ballmer or someone like him, why would he put himself in a position, or the Clippers in a position to, potentially get in trouble like this? I think you have to figure out, all right, would someone who would make enough money where they could buy an NBA team, are they a super competitive person? Like, I'm competitive, maybe you're competitive. I think we all have to be competitive to exist in the world. But the level of, like, I want to win so bad, do you think someone at that level would have it maybe a little bit more than other people? I think so. Do you think someone could justify in their minds why this is not a bad thing to do? But they're not hurting anybody, right? Like, oh, he's come to the Clippers. Look, it's a benefit of being part of this organization. You know me now, and I'm, I've got all sorts of great people I know that, want to help you and your family, be successful and build wealth and all these different things. I'm not going to be involved with it. I'm not going to know what's going on, but look, I'm going to make the introduction. Do you think that's possible? Like, yeah, totally. And then the bigger point, the bigger financial incentive is the Clippers, from my math, the valuation has gone up more than $3 billion since Steve Ballmer purchased the team. I believe the purchase price was around $2.2 billion. you can't say Kawhi's responsible for all of that, but Kawhi would definitely raise the ceiling of what the team could be worth the moment that he signed a contract. Because Kawhi Leonard legitimized the Clippers in a way that, you know, you could argue the Clippers, they were legit when they had Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, and it was Lob City, and that's all true. But this new era of the Clippers, getting Kawhi was like planting the flag in LA, being like, the Clippers are for real. And then getting Kawhi, part of that deal was Paul George came, and Paul George was not podcasting at that point. And that made that whole, that the team immediately became a championship contender. And going off of how people felt at that time, Kawhi Leonard being on a team was like, now you have a shot. Look what he just did in Toronto. The guy shows up, you know, it's kind of like, how's he going to be? And they win a championship. So that's suddenly the Clippers are a championship contender. And if you own a team, what does that do for your team? More people are going to want to watch the games. More people are going to come to the games. People are going to buy the jerseys. You know, it's immediate revenue increase just based on that star power. So if we look at it from, let's say Kawhi, and I'm totally not saying these are accurate numbers because who knows, but let's say Kawhi could, you know, be, if the company is worth the team is worth $3 billion more. Let's say Kawhi contributed to like 20% of that just by having like a star like him and what that led to after that. And I think that's kind of conservative. 20% of $3 billion, you can do the math. Let's call it $600 million. Is that fair? Yeah, that's right. $600 million. And what did you pay for it? Not saying Steve Ballmer paid for it, but what was that? If the worst is true, and that was somehow like a little bit of, hey, I rub your back, you rub mine. What was it? $28 million or something like that. So for $28 million, I get $600 million in value in terms of the valuation of something increases. Point being, incentives are superpowers. So Charlie Munger always talked about, and it's something he says he underestimated or didn't fully appreciate, even though he knew that almost throughout the entirety of his life. And I think if you want to look at this story and try to make sense of what's going on, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. You just need a really simple idea like that. What are the incentives? How do people benefit from this unusual, not even unusual, this bullshit endorsement deal where someone's getting $7 million a year to do nothing? I think, you know, that's the best way to look at it from my view. I'm not condemning or saying that anyone did anything. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the judge and jury. But from the standpoint of just being an NBA fan, looking at things and having an opinion, it doesn't look good. And I think that's all there is to be said. But let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed my take, and I'll talk to you soon. Later.